What are the keys to success for the Cincinnati Reds in 2025? I give you reality as I see it today on Reds Reality Podcast. I'm Josh Razauskas, and let's not waste any more time and let's break down what I feel are the Reds' keys to success for the 2025 season for them to make the playoffs and make a deep run like we all want them to make. These aren't in any particular order, but they are all very important, I think, to this team being where we want it to be. So let's not waste any more time and let's begin with the obvious beginning, which of course is Tito. I mean, Terry Francona coming to this team is exactly what we all wanted. We wanted a manager who was going to be a manager who was going to provide accountability, and a manager who was going to be able to get the best out of these players and, quite honestly, result in some more. I expect that Terry Francona will gain the Cincinnati Reds at least 5 regular season wins just based on reputation alone. Now, of course, all of this is contingent on the fact that the players have to buy in to what Tito is selling them. But assuming that they do that, as they should, then I don't see any reason why this won't be a great hire. But if Terry Francona, for whatever reason, has that year layoff for health that he had in 2024 and isn't his old self, then that'll be a big key that the Reds are missing out on. But I don't foresee this being a problem. The others are more subjective, but this one I think is fairly easy and straightforward. Terry Francona, I think, will be a great key to Reds' success in 2025. Next, we have the pitching staff. Of course, I've highlighted here the 2 biggest additions in Taylor Rogers and Brady Singer, but the truth is that if all of the new Reds pitchers, as well as the existing pitchers that they're hoping will be able to have better numbers than last year, don't step up, and all these new pieces don't gel together, we will be dwelling, that's what I was trying to say, in the same position that we were last year and won't have any success in going forward with progress. So the pitching staff is key, and everybody performing to the level that the Reds want them to perform at. Hunter Green has got to continue to be an all-star pitcher. Nick Lodolo needs to be healthy, or Rhett Lauder needs to be healthy right below Nick Lodolo. The Chases, Burns and Petty might be in the mix this year. All of these things have got to happen in order for the Reds to be the success that we all expect them to be and have a deep push in the playoffs. This was the Reds' biggest addressing in the off season. So this is what we all are going to be depending on the most on to be successful. Next, we have Christian Encarnacion Strand, CES. Where does he stand? Is he healthy this year? This is a guy, whether he plays first the majority of the time, whether he gets some playing time at third because they're not quite sure what they're going to do over there in that spot, whether he plays mostly DH, none of it really matters as much as is he healthy and is he going to contribute to this team the way we all expect him to be able to? Is he going to be that 25 home run guy, that big bopper in the middle of the lineup and have serviceable defense? It all depends on if that hand is 100%. Now, all reports are in spring training right now that he is in the best shape of his life, but we're only like a week into OTAs. Like, spring training games haven't even started yet, so we don't really know where CES stands, but he is a huge piece of this puzzle, as is TJ Friedl. TJ Friedel is a guy who I think is more important even than new addition Austin Hayes to the Reds outfield success. Why? Because TJ Friedel is the center fielder, which makes him the defensive captain out there. And he's a guy that when he wasn't healthy, this lineup completely fell apart without him last year. I think if you do not have a healthy TJ Friedel, you do not have a successful Cincinnati Reds team that is in or around first place for most of the year. TJ Friedel has got to put up as good a numbers as he did in 2023 when he was healthy, if not better, in order for the Reds to really push themselves forward and really, truly be a success in this season coming up. Next up is one of the new additions, Gavin Lutz. Where's Gavin Lutz going to play? How is he going to factor in to what this team is doing? Is he going to be your everyday second baseman? Is he going to be the guy that moves around a lot and fills some different holes? The Reds are counting on a lot from Gavin Lutz. That's why they made the trade. If he doesn't step up to be an everyday player, if he doesn't show that what happened last year in LA with his career best year so far wasn't a fluke, and he doesn't prove to be one of the big pieces for the Reds this year, the Reds are really going to be hurting a lot. And Gavin Lutz's success leads right into one of our next keys to success that we need to talk about, and that is, of course, Spencer Steer. Spencer Steer is a guy that really has to step up in 2025. 2023, he was great. 2024, not so much. He looked very overwhelmed at the plate a lot of the time, and he really, I think, was a victim more than anything of moving around. Even though he is a guy that says he likes to move around, and he's got to move around this year. There's a chance we're going to see him at second. There's a chance we're going to see him at first. There's a chance we're going to see him in left. There's a chance we're going to see him at third, even. So Spencer Steer has got to be able to handle being that Swiss Army knife, and he's got to put up better numbers than he did in 2024. And what makes that even more nerve-wracking, really, is the fact that there's reports, as I mentioned in the last episode, of minor shoulder issues for Spencer Steer. So if he's not healthy and ready to go at the beginning of the year, that's a big hole that this team has to deal with and adjust to. And you could argue that there is no bigger key to success in 2025 than the ability of one Spencer Steer, but there are a couple of more guys that are really worth talking about. So next up, let's talk about the Candyman himself, Jeimer Candelario. Candelario is a guy who got one of the biggest contracts the Reds have ever dealt out in spring training. At times on defense last year, he looked absolutely horrible. He looked like a guy who was completely overwhelmed out there, looked like he didn't know what the heck he was doing, and just, he looked terrible at the plate. He looked lost at the plate at times, and not the all-star that the Reds expected him to be. So whether he spends the bulk of his time at DH, whether they have to try and play him at first, they have to try to play him at third, it doesn't really matter. What matters is that we get that Jeimer Candelario that we thought we were going to get when the Reds signed him to that contract. That this is really important for Jeimer Candelario to take that next step forward, for the Reds to be the success that we all hope they're going to be in 2025. We still have two more pieces left that I want to talk about, and they should be fairly obvious to you by now because they haven't been brought up yet, but just in case they aren't, we'll begin with Matt McLain. Matt McLain, man, him being healthy really is what this team missed last year. This team was so lost I guess you can make an argument between him and CES for how lost the team was, but Matt McLain is that spark plug, man. Matt McLain is that engine piece that when he gets going, Ellie De La Cruz is better. This whole lineup is better because of the presence of Matt McLain. And where is Matt McLain going to play? Is he going to be your everyday shortstop, which is what a lot of fans, including myself, as I mentioned the last episode, really, really want for him? We want him to be the everyday shortstop because if he's playing every day at shortstop, that allows Ellie De La Cruz to move to third, Gavin Lutz to be at second. That is the best possible scenario for this Reds team in 2025 and beyond. Whether or not Ellie De La Cruz is able to swallow his pride and stay at third base and not worry about not playing short, I guess only time will tell with that one. But Matt McLain is huge. A healthy Matt McLain arguably was a better player than Ellie De La Cruz was in 2023. So Matt McLain coming back and being the unofficial captain of this ball club is ginormous. Like, I cannot put a price on what this means for this team this year. We've got to have a healthy number 9 out there day in and day out. And then, of course, if we have a healthy number 9, Matty McLain, out there, then that makes it so much easier for the final key, the no-brainer key for this team, the real true horsepower of this team in every sense of the word, Ellie De La Cruz. Ellie De La Cruz has got to go from good to great this year. He made the All-Star team last year, but he wasn't elite. So I guess that's the word I actually meant to say. He's got to go from good to elite in 2025. Ellie De La Cruz has got to be an elite player. How does Ellie De La Cruz become an elite player? 2 ways. Firstly, he shores up his defense, which is why I pushed for him to play third base. But if he continues to play short, he's got to be consistent at short. He's got to cut down the mistakes and make the routine plays that he should make. And that way, when he makes the spectacular plays that he's capable of making, it doesn't look like, oh, he's just doing that because he cannot actually make the plays that he should be making out there. So that's the first part of it. Second part of it is, of course, he's got to cut down on the strikeouts. I don't want to hear this nonsense about, oh, strikeouts don't matter as much anymore in this day and age. Strikeouts are overblown. You have the guys who just put the ball in play when they make contact, and when they make contact, their numbers are so good that them striking out a lot doesn't matter. It does matter, because when a guy strikes out a lot, what does that do? That puts pressure on the rest of the lineup in case you didn't know that. And when that happens, that means that guys are going out of their comfort zone. So Ellie De La Cruz has got to be in his comfort zone and be electric so that the rest of the lineup is better. And then, of course, when Ellie De La Cruz gets on base, Ellie De La Cruz is going to be running. And this year, he can't just be running for the sake of running. We all know he's going to get his stolen bases. Nobody's going to stop Ellie De La Cruz from running. Nobody wants to see Ellie De La Cruz stop running. What we want to see and what we have to see from Ellie De La Cruz in 2025 is smart. Picking your spots. Making sure that if you take a third base, if by some miracle for the second time in your career you take a home plate, you do it in situations that matter, and you do it in situations that you're sure that you're going to be successful at. Ellie De La Cruz has got to be successful and smart and driven and more consistent in all aspects of his game. That is how the Cincinnati Reds become a division winner, or at least a playoff appearer in 2025. It all has been for the last couple of years, and this year more than ever on the shoulders of the MLB The Show 25 cover boy, Ellie De La Cruz. So there you have it, your 2025 Reds keys to success for them to be that contender that we all want them to be. Make sure you let me know of what you think of all the things that I've talked about here today. Did I miss anybody? Did I miss any overall points about this team and how they're going to be successful in 2025? Tell me your reality down below in the comment section, or hit us up on X at Reds Reality Pod. I'm still working on the rest of the social media. Hope to have that done sometime this week. If you missed the first two prior episodes, you can check them out on the end screen right here, and continue to stay right here as I, Josh Razauskas, bring you reality as I see it on all things your Cincinnati Reds.